The news is out. The U.S. is in what some are calling a housing recession. Housing-related metrics are down. Sales are down. New builds are down. Building permits are down. Mortgage applications are down. The number of days on market is up, and sellers are playing catch up to the market as they reduce their asking prices. While this all sounds highly alarming, I think it's important to realize that we're coming off 2 years of an insanely hot seller's market. So what feels like the bottom falling out may actually only be the market normalizing. What does the term housing recession actually mean? Well, the idea of this phrase really took hold back in August. An index by the National Association of Home Builders found that builders' confidence fell for the 8th straight month. Then, a report by the National Association of Realtors reported that home sales declined for the 6th month in a row in July, and both reports prompted experts at each organization to call it a housing recession. According to Jessica Lantz, the Vice President of Demographic and Behavioral Insights at NAR, quote, "It's really just a means of contraction in the home sales in the last 6 months. We've seen a slowdown in home sales, and we have seen home builders contracting as well. It's not a recession in home prices." Lawrence Yun, NAR's chief economist, confirmed this assessment. He said, "We're witnessing a housing recession in terms of declining home sales and home building. However, it is not a recession in home prices. Inventory remains tight, and prices continue to rise nationally, with nearly 40% of homes on the market still commanding the full list price." Did you hear that? It's not a recession in home prices for many markets in the U.S. This is important for you to understand. So what triggered this change? The housing recession in the national real estate market? Well, basically, the buyers took the proverbial exit ramp on 2 wheels. Inflation has been squeezing everybody's budget. The economy is rocky. People are worried about a national recession. Investments have been taking a beating. Home prices have been pushed to all-time highs. Construction costs have been through the roof, and interest rates have nearly doubled since the beginning of this year. Buyers collectively said, "Peace out." Looking at the real estate market from a national level, July 2020's numbers show that pending home sales were down 1% from the month before. Sales were down 5.9% from the month before and 20.2% from the year before. Housing inventory was up to 3.3 months, which means we're finally inching into the realm of a neutral or a balanced market on the national level. When we talk about months' supply of inventory, we're using a formula to predict how long it will take existing inventory to be sold. As you can see on this graphic, a national inventory level of 3.3 pushes us into the balanced zone. Keep in mind that real estate is hyper-local, so inventory in your market might be singing a different tune. For instance, here in the greater Iowa City area where I work, while our market is cooling, as of the end of July, our number of months of inventory is still sitting at 2. Another very important thing to keep in mind is that within your real estate market, the competition and number of available houses is going to vary by the price point. Certain price points may remain in a seller's market longer than others. One of the tricky things about tracking real estate numbers is that we are always at least a month behind. One of the advantages of a balanced or a neutral market is that there is much more of a sense of give and take between the buying and selling sides of a transaction. If you're the buyer, think about what you want. Assistance with closing costs? Some remedy repairs? While every transaction is different and needs to be carefully considered, broadly speaking, it is okay for buyers to resume asking for some things that were almost off limits in the very recent past. I am so happy to have home inspections back on the table, with the expectation that sellers will most likely handle major issues if they come up. If you're looking at new construction, pay close attention to listing prices of new construction in your target neighborhoods. Some builders are dropping their prices, but it's not across the board yet. Definitely ask for incentives, whatever it is that's most valuable to you, like closing costs, window treatment allowance, or appliance upgrades. As a seller, it's important to realize the days of throwing your house on the open market with a anything sells kind of mindset is pretty much over. You're going to need to properly prepare your home so that it shows its best. You're competing for available buyers, not the other way around of buyers competing for your house. You need to be realistic about your pricing strategy. Those sky-high comps that sold 6 months ago don't matter anymore. You're really going to need to focus on what has sold in the last month or two and the trajectory of your local market in order to come up with your home's price point. The logical next questions when it comes to a housing recession are what happens next and when is it a good time to buy? The 4 phases of the real estate cycle are recovery, expansion, hypersupply, and recession. When the housing recession is done, we will enter a housing recovery cycle. This is what would be considered typically the best time to buy below market value properties. However, it's not always easy to tell when that cycle has begun. No one has a crystal ball to announce when we're moving from one phase to another, so it's unlikely anyone will be able to announce when we're in a recovery cycle until the data has already started to be recorded and analyzed. Like I said earlier in the video, this is one of the trickiest things about analyzing real estate markets. We are always behind in our data. But these are 3 things you should watch for. First, real estate prices are rising after bottoming out. Those prices are increasing from their very lowest point. 2, the general economy is recovering. Employment is increasing and there's signs that the economy is doing well overall. And 3, the government's policies in terms of boosting the economy. So if you're a potential home buyer, what should you do right now? This is not a one-size-fits-all answer. It's going to vary for everybody. But housing is a basic human need. It's not like we're talking about buying a snazzy new pair of shoes when you already have other options in your closet. My advice goes like this. High interest rates and high home prices hurt. I want you to explore your financing options with your lender. That 30-year fixed rate mortgage that your parents have always told you about may not be the best choice for you and your plans right now. If we see that home prices are starting to stagnate or drop a little and you have a decent down payment saved up, you may want to make a reasonably priced offer in order to reap the rewards of home ownership. Rent prices are not going to stay the same. But don't hold your breath for housing prices to drop. I've said it over and over, the market is not going to crash in many areas. House prices are still expected to be up 11% for 2022, followed by 2% in 2023, according to NAR's most recent forecast. This follows similar forecasts by Freddie Mac, Fannie Mae, and Zillow, which all predict positive, albeit slowing price growth in 2022 and 23. Some markets may see price reductions in the 15 to 20% range, which seems exciting until you look at it from the perspective that they saw growth of about 40% over the last 2 years, so that crash is really only eating into a bit of the huge jump in value that they took from 2020 to 2022. The next big question is if the housing recession is going to double team with a full-scale US economic recession and how that will impact home prices. That's something we're going to have to tackle in a different video. But just for fun, I'm going to leave you with this graphic. Recessions, more often than not, do not equal falling home prices. Moderating price growth? Sure. But a big old crash and burn? History says probably not. Hey, it's been fun, and I'll catch you later.